My hot button is still touching on the president, but I want to start the story from Kilifi County. This weekend, we saw the news emerging from Kilifi County, a place called Chakama Ranch, where police and locals and journalists went to this ranch, found 4 emaciated people, found the body of a man who'd been buried there, and these emaciated people were appearing to have been starving themselves. Does that ring a bell? Yes. Chakama is not far from Shakahola, where we know such things were happening 2-3 years ago. Now, what is disturbing is that this appears to be a new cult that's emerging. But is it really a new cult? It's not. We've had stories of cults in this country even after Shakahola. We had a story around March coming from Homa Bay about a church where people are going to be prayed for, they end up dying, and they end up being buried in that church. That's not really the issue. The issue here comes back to the president. In 2023, journalists went to State House to interview the president. I was there. Lofty Matambo was there. And Lofty asked the president directly whether he'd take responsibility for what had happened in Shakahola. And this is what the president said.
Hii jambo, na ndio nimeweka jopo mara mbili. Jambo la kwanza, nimeweka jopo ambayo tunaita Judicial Commission. Ifuatilie uhalifu na ituambie ni nani zembea kazini ndio haya mambo yakatokea. Na huyu bwana washirika wake ni nani? Haya makaburi yaliendelea vipi? Hii mambo yote yalitendeka vipi?
Now, in that, the president actually said that he is apologizing on behalf of the government to the people of Kenya for all the failures within government that allowed this to happen. He said he's promising a commission of inquiry, a judicial commission of inquiry, and a task force. He actually appointed a task force led by the Reverend Dr. Mutava Musyimi that was going around to look at what needs to be done to regulate religion. In July last year, the Reverend Dr. Mutava Musyimi and the members of the task force presented a report to the president, and among the recommendations here were self-regulation of religious entities that are required then to join umbrella organizations which would help in monitoring the activities of each religious entity. There was mixed reaction, of course. Some Kenyans saying this is the way to go. Some sections of clergy in particular vehemently opposing regulation. The Reverend Dr. Mutava Musyimi earlier this year spoke and said, if we don't implement this report, we are likely to see another Shakahola come into last weekend, and we're in Chakama. I want to say that the responsibility for the implementation of this particular report lies with the appointing authority. President William Ruto, you appointed the task force. It brought you a report. That report is gathering dust. Mr. President, you've got a responsibility to make sure that this report is implemented, at least discussed, because this time it's about lives. Implementation of the Dr. Reverend Mutava Musyimi report will save lives, literally. I'm Latiff. That's my hot button.